Welcome back. Everyone. Today we're going to dive into one of the more talked about AI and defense names on the market, Bigbear.AI, ticker symbol BBAI. Now, the stock has been catching some movement alongside the broader market, especially with the upcoming Federal Reserve meeting that has traders and investors on edge. Just earlier today, we saw Bigbear.AI rebound from about 526 up to nearly 560 before pulling back a little. And when we see this type of momentum, the first question investors naturally ask is, what's driving it? Are there new contracts, partnerships, or government deals that could change the outlook for this company? Well, let's break it down step by step. First, it's important to remember who's leading the ship. The CEO of Bigbear.AI actually has deep roots in government service. He's a former acting Secretary of Homeland Security and previously ran the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency. That kind of background often helps when bidding for federal contracts, and it shapes where Bigbear.AI is trying to go. So what does Bigbear.AI actually do? Their solutions revolve around artificial intelligence modeling, simulation, and advanced analytics. One of their strongest offerings is in digital identity and biometrics. You might have heard about their TrueFace technology, which is being used for threat detection at the TSA level, along with VeriScan, a system that has been adopted by a growing number of airports. But it's not just about air travel. They're expanding into naval operations as well. And this is where it gets interesting. Panama, one of the most crucial hubs for global shipping, recently became a hotspot for U.S. strategic interest. Bigbear.AI has been working alongside Norval Holding Corporation on AI-powered cargo security systems. The idea is to improve transparency, prevent illicit trafficking, and strengthen supply chains worldwide. To give you an example, Bigbear's technology is capable of tracking vessels in real time, monitoring entry and exit through ports, and giving defense agencies a clearer picture of what's moving across global waters. That's a powerful capability in a world where supply chain and security risks are only growing. Now, they're not stopping there. Their computer vision and biometric tools are already making their way into sports and entertainment. Just recently, Big Bear signed a deal with the Washington Commanders, an NFL team, to deploy some of their biometric solutions at stadium entry and exit points. Sure, part of that is a sponsorship, but it also shows how their technology is becoming more mainstream. On top of that, they've already landed in major airports, which is a pretty big milestone when you think about how difficult it is for new security tech to pass regulations. But here's the catch, and this is where the stock struggles: financials. Revenue growth is solid, but on paper, net income is still in the deep red. In fact, they reported a net loss north of $228 million, which is similar to other AI startups like SoundHound. The question is whether those losses are temporary, simply reflecting heavy investment into building long-term infrastructure, or whether they'll continue dragging the company down. Looking at their balance sheet, things are improving. Compared to 2024, total assets climbed by 66%, while liabilities rose by about 28%. Assets now sit around $600 million, with another $150 million in cash and equivalents, plus several projects in the pipeline worth close to $300 million. That gives the company an estimated fair value somewhere north of $1 billion. Yet the current market cap is closer to $2 billion, meaning investors are paying a premium for what they expect Big Bear to become, not what it currently is. From a technical perspective, BBAI has been trending downward since its last earnings report. It sold off, bounced a little, but it's still below the critical 200-day moving average. Key resistance is sitting around $5.50 to $5.75. And if the stock can break above that, the next target would likely be the $6 range. On the flip side, support is holding at about $5.25, a level to watch closely in the short term. Now let's not forget the bigger picture. Some long-term investors, including myself, started positions at much lower prices around $2.80 and even earlier when BBAI traded near $1. The stock has already seen highs of around $10, so the volatility is nothing new. For me, the long-term story is still attractive, but in the short term, uncertainty remains the theme. Which brings us back to the Federal Reserve. The upcoming meeting, and specifically Jerome Powell's keynote at Jackson Hole, is going to set the tone for markets. Rate cuts, economic outlooks, and Fed policy all influence how growth companies like Bigbear.AI are valued. And here's where history gives us context. If you've ever read Edward Griffin's work on the creation of the Federal Reserve, you know it wasn't designed as a government agency. It was built by big institutional names, think JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, and others, to protect their wealth while giving the illusion of government oversight. In reality, the Fed operates independently of Congress and the president. That independence means the Fed can pursue policies to preserve financial stability even if it conflicts with political agendas. For investors, it means we're always reading between the lines, trying to interpret whether the Fed is going to tighten or loosen conditions, and that directly impacts speculative stocks like Bigbear.AI. So, what's the takeaway? Big Bear.AI has some real strengths: government ties, AI-driven solutions for security, biometric tech in airports and stadiums, and even global supply chain monitoring. But it also faces hurdles: steep losses, reliance on future contracts, and a valuation that's already pricing in a lot of optimism. The key word for this stock right now is patience. Long-term, it could become a key player in AI-driven defense and security. Short-term, it's stuck between resistance at $5.75 and support at $5.25. The next big catalyst? Most likely earnings or any surprise contract announcements. So keep an eye on those levels, watch the Fed meeting closely, and remember, opportunity often comes with volatility. This is not financial advice.